All right, what's up YouTube? I'm going to make this video here to go over my preferred security plugins to use for WordPress websites. I'm going to show you the settings that I tend to use and what happens, what do you do when you're locked out even from your own site that you manage and you get a screen like this on account of the security plugins. So let's take a look at everything that we're going to be doing here. So firstly, if you don't already use Cloudflare, I really recommend using Cloudflare because it's a free tool, and I will show you how easy this is to set up, and I'll show you why you would want to do this as well. So we'll go ahead and log into Cloudflare, and here are the sites that I'm using. Let me show you real quick why this matters. If we click over here on SSL, you'll see how this works. So someone on their browser, right, the end user is just navigating the website through their browser, but everything from where your website is hosted, the origin server, is blocked through Cloudflare's servers, through their encryption. And so in fact, I usually put these on full SSL, and that way everything is encrypted on the journey from the origin server through Cloudflare servers and then to the browser. One of the reasons why this is important is not only for security, so this will hide the origin server so people don't know where your website is hosted. They just see basically Cloudflare servers. That's one issue, is security. The other issue is speed, and Cloudflare is a content delivery network, or a CDN, and so all of your files are actually stored on their servers for a faster server load time for the end user across the globe. So this is really good. Now let's look at a couple stats, and this site is not really a production site. This was really a side project that was created and not fully realized. But let's just check out some of their security analytics here, because when you have a WordPress website, you know, the pro is you can do anything with a WordPress website, and there are so many developers and plugins available for WordPress. But the downside is, because a third of the world runs on WordPress, hackers love to try to get in and inject code or just access the back end of your site to do whatever they want to do. So what I like to do is always use Cloudflare as one of the important security measures, and also a speed boost for your site. So, you know, look at this, there's people from Nigeria on this website. Why? This has nothing to do with Nigeria. In fact, it only has to do with Montana. So and this is a low traffic site. So, you know, if I show you, let me show you if I've got on this one. This is a high performance site. So these people are getting this site's getting a lot of traffic from across the globe, and that should be the case because they sell items globally. That's the security side. But look at all of the requests coming through to this site. In one day, 52,000 hits, and that's going to include Google bots, traffic bots, and analytics and everything, but just crazy amount of requests. So this is why you want security on a WordPress website, because they will do everything they can to try to hack your site. Let's check out the firewall real quick on this, just to give you some more insights. So, and see, all of these that are on the Tor browser. I mean, typically that's going to be hackers. So pretty crazy. Okay, so what we want to do here next is show what to do and why you're getting this sort of signal, and that's because I like to use for client sites as well as my own site WP Server Security. instead of WordFence. And that's because my understanding is WordFence, while it's free initially, it's not really free for a business site. And all of my clients are businesses. That's why they have a website. So server security. And this is a great plugin, highly rated, highly installed. You always want to find a plugin that's highly rated and highly installed. And that way you know that they're going to update it frequently. And you can see that this is just a week ago. This is what it looks like. And in a moment here, we'll dive in on some of these settings for what you want to do. But I love this because it can show you who's logging into your site successfully, as well as who they've blocked because they shouldn't have been there in the first place. Let's see what else they've got here. So let's see, actually these are some settings. So I'll just show you some of these settings. It looks like this image is a little bit outdated because they actually have a setting up here for legacy mode versus standard mode, and they recommend switching to the standard mode. The block subnet feature, I tend to find is blocking even myself out sometimes. Also, if this request WP login is activated, can create a lot of headache when trying to log in, and that's why we end up getting that signal. The other tool that I use and a lot of people use is the security WordPress plugin. And Security, what's nice about them is they actually are a security business in general, not specifically and only a WordPress system. And so you can use their security stuff on any website, but they happen to have a WordPress plugin. And so that has become increasingly popular over the years. And it's used by lots of people and highly reviewed. So again, in here, they're going to have their own settings that you can set as well. Let's see if there's anything. Mainly on their settings, the only thing you're going to really do is come in here for hardening. And hardening is basically just turning off some of the back-end features of your host for that WordPress install. And so this is worth doing, setting up the hardening options. WP security, WP server security also has some hardening. You can see that tab there for hardening. Let's go ahead and dive into one of these, and then you can get more value in how to set these up and what you'd want to do on your site. So the first things first, even on my own PagePerfect site right now, I can't log in through the front end because it thinks I'm a bot, which is pretty odd. I'm not on I'm just at my home network right now, and this is pretty strange. So the way to get around this is you've got to either have FTP access like I do here, or you need to have cPanel file manager access. I'm going to show you right now through FTP where you want to go, but this would all look the same if you're in file manager in cPanel. Essentially, you want to just find your site. You want to go to the WP content folder. You want to go to plugins, and we're going to disable, in this case, WP server, because I believe that's the one that's throwing an error. And so the way to turn off plugins is you just change the file name there to anything. So this is how I learned it from other people online. I just add -off, and now that plugin is off on my site. So if I refresh the page, you can see now we got in. And that's because I had already gone to the login page and already entered my credentials before it showed me this. So now we're logged in, and now WP server security is off. So it's not of any use to us right now. So before I forget, I'm going to turn this back on. And we'll go back here. I'll do a refresh. And it's back on. So it's kind of a strange issue that happens here. And I'm going to show you the settings that are on this site right now so we can see why it was blocked. Let's see here. So main settings. We're in standard mode. And I think this is why this is on. I use a plugin called, I use a couple plugins, either WPS Hide Login or another one on some of my client sites that are called Easy Hide Login. So let's look at those real quick. So if we check out WPS Hide Login, here it is. And what this is going to do, I have a plugin conflict that's not allowing me to preview what these plugins do. But that one and the other one is Easy Hide Login. So if you use either one of those, what that does is it makes it so that it hides your, if hackers try to go to your default WP admin folder to log into your site and try different logins, or even try to do password resets, they're never going to find it because it moves this to anywhere that you choose. So you can make up anything. You could put your name, you could put your favorite month, anything. So that's what these two plugins do for you, Easy Hide Login and that other one, WPS Hide Login. Now that's what I've always used in the past. However, since starting to use WP Server, they actually have an option here for your custom login page to be moved. So you can disable the WP login and you can use a custom login URL. So honestly, that's what I need to start doing on all my client sites, because now I'm using WP Server. I don't need to have a redundant plugin that's only covering this feature. But that's what I would recommend doing here. You can do something like, I don't know, client login or something like that. You could set that and save it. I'm not going to do that in this case. I'm going to turn off this feature, but that's what this was about, was, essentially if you have this set up, then anyone who goes to the, let's see here, even this WP login.php, that's usually where the login file resides. Anyone who navigates to that directly, we will know is essentially a hacker, because they shouldn't be trying to get to that spot in the first place. So that's what you can use this feature for. I'm going to go ahead and turn that off because I believe that's why I keep getting this forbidden signal when I'm logging in. And maybe it wouldn't do that if I was actually using this instead of WPS Hide Login. Okay, so lots to think about here. This is what they recommend by default. When you install this plugin, it's going to be in legacy mode. You want to be on standard mode, and I guess leave most of the rest blank. Now the next settings that you can do are over here in hardening. And so you can set some settings here. The main one that I would suggest doing is this: block execution of PHP scripts in the WordPress media folder. And that's so that if someone does get into your media folder, then they're not going to be able to upload a PHP script there. Let's see, block unauthorized access to load scripts and load styles. Sure, that seems smart. And anything else? I would definitely not disable feeds. You want to have RSS turned on for SEO value. So I hit save on this and see how that does. Okay, now on my server, my host is Flywheel, and they don't allow us to modify the WP config file, which is why this is given an error here as to why I couldn't toggle this, because that's going to change a setting in the WP config file. So we're going to ignore that. That's fine. Now here's probably the most important settings that you can do, and this is just to block spam. So this is not really a security feature, but it is a nice spam feature, anti-spam feature. And so I turn this on all of these so that all of our forms are going to have anti-spam. And then we go to Recaptcha. And I really like to set this up as well. And it looks like I haven't done this on our site yet because I just started using this on all of our client sites. So I'm going to show you how to do this. We're going to go to Recaptcha, Google.com, and depending on which user you're logged into over here is why this says U4 in this case. But basically, just Google Recaptcha and log into your Google account. And this is a free service, and it's incredibly easy to use. So I'm going to type in my domain as the name. I'm also going to put it here and hit enter. And then we're going to choose Recaptcha version 3. And that's going to allow for invisible CAPTCHA. Agree to the terms, send alerts to the owner, that's me. And now all we have to do is copy. Let's see, we're on this one. Copy that site key, copy that secret key. It's not very secret because I'm making a video about it. And then we're just going to enable this on everything. Now this is nice because it's invisible Recaptcha, and that means people are not going to have to do that annoying feature where you have to choose all the images that contain a bicycle or a fire hydrant or street lights, you know. We're not going to have to do any of that, so we'll be good. And then this will keep analytics on us. Again, I'll show you that other site that gets a lot of traffic. And you can see that it's had, in the last week, 44 Recaptcha requests. Again, this is free, worth having, all set on that. And we hit save, so we're good. While we're here, I'm just going to go back to those main settings and double check that I did hit the save button when I was turning off my lockout feature, which is that one. Yeah, I forgot to hit save, so hit save on that. Great, that's WP Server Security. So we've talked about Cloudflare, we've talked about WP Server Security. Now we're going to go look at security. There's quite a bit here. And honestly, I think the main point of this plugin, why I have it on my sites, is simply it is doing malware scanning and is going to send me reports if there are you know, any systems that are not optimal. And let's see here. But mainly I just use it for malware scans. And that way I know, is my site safe or not, from kind of the 10,000 foot view. So server security is important because that actually keeps the hackers out. Security is not keeping the hackers out so much. It's just monitoring. And now I'm going to go over to hardening, and you can turn on hardening here. Again, I have an issue because my host doesn't allow us to edit the WP config file, nor does it allow plugins to edit that file. And so these are the only hardening features that I'm able to enact on my client sites. However, that's because Flywheel, as it's an incredible host, I do recommend them for professional WordPress sites. If you don't want to have all the security threats, you want to use Flywheel. And also, if you want a better user experience for yourself managing the site, use Flywheel. If you want your site to load faster, and if you want incredible support when something's wrong, including if there is ever a security breach or malware, they will actually do the malware removal for you. Their support is so amazing. So highly recommend Flywheel. I'll leave a link for them in the description. You can sign up under my link, which would give me a little bit of a kickback. Much appreciated. Okay, let's see here. What else on security? I think, crossing my fingers here, but I think those are the main security features of a WordPress website that you ought to have installed. Always use a good long password for you and any other users. I really recommend Lastpass because this will generate secure passwords and store them all for you. So you don't have to remember passwords ever again, and you'll never use easy to compromise passwords. And it also allows you to use a different password on every website you ever log into, so that you're really limiting your risk across the internet when you use Lastpass. All right, so I think that's going to do it for this video. We successfully got into this site, and we will not be needing to go through this process again. This is a separate site, and I'm going to have to do the same thing, which is simply to go into the either into your cPanel or into your FTP, and you got to find where that site resides, and you got to get into its WP content and plugins folder and go turn off that plugin, because one of the settings is too strict, and it's thinking you are a hacker or a spammer. So you want to turn that off, hit refresh, and you should be good to go. All right, you guys, that's it for this video. I hope this was helpful for you. And if you ever need any help, even with just consulting, feel free to connect with us at pageperfect.co.